right, everybody, thanks for joining us once again on Rockland News. Just a reminder, there is a tornado watch in effect. These conditions are expected to last until 9 p.m. this evening, Tuesday, July 21st. Check with your local radio stations and networks to hear updated information. Be safe out there. Right now on our government report, 3 o'clock, we have Supervisor of the town of Clarkstown, George Holman. George, thanks for joining us today on Rockland's News.
Oh, Tom, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope you're not out in the rain right now.
No, but we want everybody to be safe. You know, it's really not good weather. You know, there are, you know, it's funny. We had a tabletop exercise that I was at the Clarkstown Police Department with Orange and Rockland last week.
Yeah, I saw that.
We put a post up about it just to let people know, because on blue sky days, we're preparing for days like today. And so the Clarkstown Police Department and our emergency response team are, you know, fully engaged. We've been in contact with all the local utilities that, you know, have extra crews available and contingency plans in place. Hopefully we don't need them. But, you know, the concern really is, that, you know, we don't know what is going to be hitting us. I mean, we have waves of rain that are hitting the area, and we'll be cycling through. And there is the concern that of a tornado warning. So we don't know. But I think it's, you know, I was just saying, you know, one of the updates I got, it's the first tornado warning for New York City in over 700 days.
Wow.
So it's been a while since, you know, the metropolitan area has been hit with this extensive of a tornado warning, and it's so
intense,
we're watching it closely. Yeah, we're watching it closely, and we're ready to go, and hopefully not needed, you know, emergency response. But you know, we're going to get a significant amount of rain in a short period of time, so there will be some localized flooding. And my reminders to folks are, again, if you see down wires, don't approach them. Stay away, because you don't know if they're live. And if you see standing water of any large amount, don't drive into it. We've had too many folks, you know, particularly up in, and I could tell you the areas where they do it. You know, Pipetown Road in the, you know, Nanuet section, just on the Spring Valley border. You know, with the Pascack Brook there, and you know, a lot of runoff coming down from Spring Valley. You know, we've had flash floods in that area that have impacted people, and people just figure, okay, I'll drive in. Route 59 down in West Nyack, people decide, you know, they're going to drive in, and, you know, their car's a boat, and cars are not boats. So don't drive into heavy standing water. Turn around and go a different route. Better to be safe than sorry. And then having the fire department and the police to have to come pull you out of the vehicle.
Right, exactly. I was at a memorial service this morning. May the individual rest in peace. And it was absolutely just pouring, and the lightning was definitely in the distance there. So definitely, while we were paying our final respects, we had to expedite the ceremony in order to make sure that everybody was safe. And luckily they were. I had a few questions for you today. I'm actually going to try to dial it back in time over the last 2 weeks. So the first one, and I'll go in order of when things happened just recently. How did you like the World Rhythms, the soccer watch party for the World Cup over in Nanuet? I was over there. That was a pretty festive atmosphere.
Oh, it was great. You know, so it was we closed a smaller portion of the road, the Nanuet Chamber, you know, Jerry Touchman and Susan Farisi and Jeff Gibbs and you know, the entire
Andy
team
and all them, yeah.
Chamber. Andy, they did a tremendous job, and you know, it was an extra event that was given to them that you know, we prevailed upon them, and I'm so glad that they said yes to do it. And it was a lot of extra stress. You know, the county tourism funding worked out well, but we had 300 people watching the game in the one location, maybe more. We had a couple hundred further down. I mean, it was great, and the energy, the excitement, you know, it was phenomenal. And I can't thank county tourism enough. and the Nanuet Chamber now partnering with the town. It's exactly what we envisioned to take place. Now, it was a smaller, it wasn't as crowded as a street fair, and it was a smaller portion of the roadway that was closed. But I don't think there's another town in the county that could have pulled off an event like that in partnership with the chamber. So really loved it. Great, great opportunity. And thank you to the chamber. Thank you to the county tourism. Jenna Nazaro and her entire team, county executive Ed Day. Really wonderful, wonderful partnership. All 5 towns had watch parties, Village of Spring Valley, and we were fortunate to get the final. And it was a great game. I mean, really a fabulous, fabulous game going all the way into extra time.
Yeah,
it did
Spain
not
really
disappoint.
held its own against Argentina. I was surprised. I thought Argentina was going to be putting the pressure the entire game, but they were definitely on their heels for some reason. But
Yeah,
heck of a
absolutely.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, so wonderful event. So thank you to everybody, and thanks to all the residents for participating. I mean, we've had a great summer, with not just that, but we had the drone show,
That's
which was
another
the
thing I was going to ask
first
about. Yeah.
yeah, so the first ever drone show in the county, and that was wonderful. I want to thank our sponsors. In fact, we had a high school student that won the art contest, and they were one of the displays in the art show. They did a really nice design of our town logo, and it was great to be able to include young people in that. We had, according to the police, over 5,000 people at it. It was a very sizable crowd. There's a few things I wish might have worked out a little bit better that night. In particular, the sound system. We deferred to West Point on their sound system for the band,
Hmm.
and so again, they don't mic up the individual instruments, and their mics
Ah,
are above.
we're
And so
speaking
when people,
we're speaking the
yeah, when
same
people were
language
speaking,
on that. Yeah.
yeah, when people were speaking, it was fine. But if you got about 3/4 of the way back,
Hmm.
the sound didn't really carry as well as it could have. And so, if we get West Point again, that's a lesson learned. I want to thank the sponsors, who largely covered the cost for the drone show,
Yeah.
and we're already going to look at it for next year. But people loved it, and we're still getting compliments about it. And the other thing that as somebody that spent 21 years working in not-for-profit administration with people with disabilities, and particularly people with developmental disabilities, and as a dog dad, not just a dad of 3 kids, but I've got 2 dogs. I know how much my dogs don't really like fireworks, and so while we're not going to get rid of our fireworks, I will tell you that I think that having the drone show really gave a whole different experience, and there were a whole bunch of people with auditory issues on the autism spectrum that I heard from their families, and they really appreciated the ability to bring their kids, adult kids who have autism and young kids who have autism and sensory issues, that did not, they could go to an event like this and they could experience it and enjoy it, and they can't go to the fireworks. And there was a whole bunch of people there from the disability community that don't go to our fireworks and don't go to any fireworks across the county because of the sensory issues.
Hmm.
So I think we're going to do everything we can to try and make this a permanent event within the town of Clarkstown going forward.
Got it. And the different designs, and I know with drones, it's coordination. It's literally digital coordination vectors, which I'm familiar with. How many drones were involved in this particular operation?
So, so 400,
Hmm.
and it was just under a 15-minute show. In order to do a much longer show, we would need a lot more drones because it's based on the battery life.
Right.
And
Right.
so you basically get about less than 20 minutes on the charge with these types of drones. Again, I was really pleased because the 400 was a pretty vivid number. It wasn't their base level, wasn't their max. They go from 200 to 800.
Hmm.
So we were kind of mid-range. In order to do a longer show, we would have to have more drones, and by having more drones, it costs more money.
The cost
And
goes
then
up. Yeah.
they would essentially do a whole separate deployment. So if we wanted to have a 25-minute show, we would need at least 600 drones, and you would do 300 and 300, and they would, the first 300 would do the first half of the show, and then they have 300 more that would do the second half. But you're going up exponentially in terms of price, and the industry
Right.
standard is roughly $100 per drone. So
Hmm. Gotcha.
you kind of get it. The other thing that they do offer for a slight upcharge, you can do two shows, but you need a half hour, at least a half hour to 40 minutes in between, so the drones can get a quick recharge.
Right.
So we're having an after action meeting with everybody, as it relates to that, just to kind of go through that. So the two things that we added extra mini trans buses for the fireworks, but there was such a massive crowd that we'd want to probably even do more in terms of the buses, because people really took advantage of the buses
Right.
and the sound system, for West Point. Now, the speaking part wasn't an issue. People could hear when we spoke in the beginning. They could hear. They could hear a number of the speakers from West Point when they got right on mic. They were fine, but some of the finer instruments, even though there are 50 musicians, they don't mic them up. So and we didn't know this at the time. Otherwise, we would have said, okay, we'll enhance the sound system.
Right. Right. Of
So,
course.
we based it on what West Point had told us. So that would be the only drawback on it. But I can tell you, I had so many people have reached out, as they said, about it. And then also, not having to deal with the explosions, from the fireworks,
Yeah.
which
That's a
really
plus.
impact pets as well. So I definitely think, like I said, it's going to be something we're going to try and do as a permanent thing going forward. It was definitely a very positive event for us.
Yeah. I mean, and it's,
And Tom, just one last thing I forgot to mention. Just I have to thank Congressman Mike Waller. We had been trying to get the West Point Orchestra for several years, and we were a dead end. And we finally reached out to Congressman Waller, and within a couple of weeks, we had it all put together.
all right.
And that would not have happened. We would not have gotten West Point without Congressman Waller. So kudos to him and to his team in pulling it off for us. I want to thank him for that.
Yeah, indeed. And if I can make a humble suggestion, instead of going for the 400 drones next year, maybe split the difference, and then you bring in a really nice band, obviously, and then a little upgrade on the sound system, and bing bang boom, everybody else. Because the musicians will be, I could tell you from personal experience, the musicians will be willing to play for that drone fee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing, which was interesting, because there were a lot of ways in which we could have done this. So when West Point was playing, we put the sponsors up, and so there were like five of the main sponsors, and we put their logo up in the sky, and you could hear, and you could hear the audible reaction of the crowd when the drones first went up
Yeah, like
during
the
the
oohs and ahs, right? They're like,
yeah.
ooh, yep.
Yeah, and it was a pretty wild scene to just see these different colored drones just lifting off like in a swarm behind, on the field behind us. But in terms of the numbers, I mean, yeah, well, I'd like to have it a little bit longer. Hopefully, the battery life on some of these drones gets better.
Right.
Uh, they're definitely. I can tell you, just recently we had a full meeting with a drone company with the Clarkstown Police for some enhancements we're going to be doing with our drone fleet. We have the largest drone fleet of any police department within the Hudson Valley, and so we're looking at some significant enhancements with the advancements with drones, and the battery life is improving on some of these police drones, and I'm hoping it'll follow through
Mm-hmm.
with these drones with the drone show companies.
Awesome. I have a couple of questions. I did obviously we look to find all the details from both sides of the story. It's our job in the news. I do want to ask you about the thing that's been in the news over the past week or so. There's currently an investigation in process for the chief engineer that's employed by the town. And I'm reading off of Rockland's news right now. The town attorney Kevin Conway said in a statement Tuesday last week that Michael Giannatasio, I hope I'm saying his name right, Clarkstown's director of engineering and facilities management, he was placed on paid administrative leave after an independent investigation allegedly uncovered undisclosed private business interests and potential conflicts involving companies that sought to work with the town. So, and we're obviously looking at this, just to try to get to the heart of the matter. Are there any updates over the last week? I know that there's a lot of communication going back and forth.
So that's been referred to. Um, um, that's been referred to our Clarkstown Ethics Board, and
Right.
the Ethics Board is conducting an investigation. And since it could potentially come back to the town board and the supervisor for what I would expect it would. I'm very limited in what I'm able to say or what I could be able to respond to. I think the town attorney's statement is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Giannatasio has made some allegations that, on their face, I believe, are nothing more than, as the town attorney said, an attempt to dodge and move people away from the issue that he's kind of raising. Now, I will give you a little bit of news. I mean, the reality is that the Siemens project that they're all talking about is not completed. The town hasn't finalized that project, and we still have $1 million that we're holding on Siemens as we're doing our own reviews. And Siemens has to stand by their project, and they have to attest as part of the Article 9 process through the state that they're going to meet the benchmarks that they put out in this study.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Mr. Giannatasio is trying to point the finger at a project that he himself fully managed, like he was the one who worked with Siemens directly. He was the one that signed off on all the receipts, and frankly, a year prior, he signed off on the project he's now saying, "Hey, there's an issue with." It's farcical, and I think the town attorney statement handles it. But I don't want to get in ahead of the.
Of course, yeah.
The ethics board, the ethics board will review it. I do want to. I do also just want to make the point. He went out of his way to really help this company, CAC Green Asphalt. And I think probably one of the things that's most disturbing about CAC Green Asphalt is that they had a contract with New York City to do green asphalt, 100% recycled asphalt on city roads. New York City DOT approved the product. New York State DOT did not approve the product. And unbeknownst to me and the members of the town board, Mr. Giannatasio, talking with the highway superintendent, actually had a road in Valley Cottage, a portion of it, repaved with this product, which I don't know how you put a product that's not approved by New York State DOT on a road within New York State. It might be fine for New York City. It wasn't approved for New York State and usage in the town of Clarkstown for a road that people drive on. And it was a road in Valley Cottage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all going to be looked at. That only came out as a portion of this investigation. My understanding is the investigation, commenced through the town attorney's office last year. So I would stand behind the town attorney's statement. and tell you that, we're anxious for the ethics board to complete their review. I will tell you also that the ethics board is independent. It's not something that, this is one of the ethics reforms that my administration did. The ethics board was a group of rabbis, priests, and ministers. Many ethics boards are composed of clergy people in different municipalities across the state. This is what the town did many, many, many years ago. It might even predate Supervisor Holbrook. Supervisor Holbrook was here for 20 years. Supervisor
Charles
Gromack
Holbrook,
followed
yeah.
him for 11 years, and I've been in office now for 10 years. So I think we revised the ethics code, and one of the things we did is we changed the reporting. We made it sharper, tighter, and we did an RFP, and we recruited in an outside attorney. My predecessor actually had a political appointee as the attorney for the ethics board, and that never sat well with me. And so we did an RFP and affirmed Suzanne Dugan, and all she does is ethics counsel work. She's independent. I think I've talked to her in 10 years 4 or 5 times.
Mhm.
In a 10-year period. So she's not somebody that's like controlled by me or the town board. So when she works very closely with the ethics board, who, as I said, are residents of the town who happen to be ministers, priests, and rabbis. We've had some sisters on there in the past. I don't even know who all the people are. So it's a truly independent board. Let's see what the ethics board comes back with. But I'm pretty confident based upon what I've been able to glean from the town attorney, because we've stayed out of it, when there are concerns. But it originated itself from a concern from a vendor, Siemens, who raised an issue. It's all in the town attorney's statement. So I would just refer you to the town attorney's statement. And my understanding is the ethics board is going to be meeting, if they haven't already met. And the ethics council, as I said, independent ethics board. And the ethics council is somebody that doesn't live in the town. She's somebody that all she does is advise ethics boards around the country. And she actually, I think, serves as the ethics counsel for, I think, the city of Portland or the city of Seattle, city of Cincinnati, a bunch of counties. And she's like one of the top ethics lawyers that this is all they do in the entire country.
Mhm.
So, I would anticipate that whatever the ethics board comes up with and refers back to the town board, we'll follow and we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
The town would also, Mr. Giannatasio is not a member of the CSEA, but he does have civil service protections. So, we would, based upon what happens with the ethics review, would also be going forward potentially with disciplinary charges based upon what comes out from this review.
Mhm.
So it's about what I could tell you, but I
Yeah.
think it's farcical that you have, the allegation that he's a whistleblower. I think the town attorney, when he said at the town board meeting, when folks came in and tried to, make political hay out of it, bit of a joke. It's also a bit of a joke that,
Well, political, 'tis the season right now, so,
yeah, 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 it is. And it's unfortunate because, you should say what you're going to do. I have a record. I have a record of accomplishment here in the town. When I took over, the town was bankrupt. We were on the New York State the controller's watch list. We've maintained and strengthened our bond rating. We've added to our reserves. We've done over $100 million in capital improvements. We received over $40 million in state and federal grants. You want to attack me on how you would do things better. Instead, we've got a bunch of people that are out there just looking to make political hay. And it's frankly, it's every year, every 2 years. And I think the people of Clarkstown are kind of tired of it. That, it's just, okay, let me go ahead and throw whatever outlandish allegation I can at the wall about whoever's in office. It's a joke. It's and people don't respond to that. I hear it when I'm out in the supermarkets. I hear it when I'm out in the restaurants. I hear it when I'm out, doing videos to promote local businesses. I hear it when I'm at the street fairs.
Hmm.
I heard it at the drone show, the fireworks show. You know, literally,
Yeah, it
attack on
gets
the record.
uncomfortable. It's got to get
Yeah,
uncomfortable when the dialogue is like that. And the thing that I find, and I mean, our business, we have 19 years under our belt. We're aiming for another 19, but it's not like every employee that came to the company was a comfortable hire. So that's where it gets interesting here, and it's not something that can really be defined on pen and paper, or these days the typing it onto a screen. But the dynamics of and this is a gentleman that you know he worked with a lot of people in the same building, so it must be very uncomfortable because there's friendships that form based on that. And it's how do I put it? It just makes it at very least disappointing, right? No matter what side you're on, it just makes it like a feeling of disappointing. It's like, oh, now we got to go through this. So
yeah. Well, I listen. There are some aspects that of the work that he did, which was fine. Obviously, there were some questions that came up that were prompted by a vendor directly with the town. But I just, the truth is the truth, and the truth is going to come out, and nobody should be afraid of the truth.
mhm,
I'm not afraid of the truth, and the truth is going to come out here. And when the town can release what it'll release, people will be able to see. And and again, I kind of laugh at, and we're in the political season, about transparency. Really, I'm the only supervisor that does teletown hall meetings. We just did one last night with over 3,000 people
mhm,
on the call. And we're an open book in the town. And every year, every 2 years, it's the same political garbage that people throw out, and they're like, okay, Clarkstown's not this, or Clarkstown's not that. And I win overwhelmingly every year, every 2 years, and the people have seen the record.
mhm.
Criticize me on my record. Tell me what we haven't done, or have done or haven't done. I thought it was kind of laughable. The Democratic candidates actually came to the town board meeting, and they couldn't even figure out what they were going to attack on. It was ridiculous.
That's
And I
yeah,
just
that's probably an important
eh,
piece, going
yeah,
on the offensive. Need the agenda. Yeah.
look, yeah, no, and I'll tell you, look, I've never been afraid to have conversations and discuss stuff with anybody that's run against me. But this is government. You know, it's just like, I'll give you a case in point. Mayor Mandami ran on a whole list of things, a whole bunch of promises. How are those free buses working out in New York City right now?
I think he's
Right?
busy trying to arrest Netanyahu right now.
Yeah, but seriously, how are all the punchlines? I mean, and that socialist bent that's taking place down in New York City is leaking all around the country, and it's something that people up here in Clarkstown don't want any part of, because what they want is, they want a strong police department, they want a strong town government that's going to provide things like a drone show, that's going to keep costs, together, that's going to do the tens of millions of dollars worth of capital improvements that we've done. Every one of our pools has been redone over the last, 10 years or so. We've added parks. We've added hundreds of acres of open space and parkland since I've been town supervisor. The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Hmm.
And criticize me on my record, great, happy to, and we'll have those discussions. But in terms of this, it's just like, if I say it's black, they're going to say it's white. And I just think people are tired of it. They're tired of it at the national level. I'm tired of it at the national level, and they certainly don't want to see it at the local level. But people can say whatever they want to say, but you judge somebody by their record.
Hmm.
And what's our record? Our record is a very strong record of accomplishment. We've added the Bear Swamp. We dramatically expanded the park in West Nyack. We completed the West Nyack revitalization. We ended up redoing every one of the community centers at below what my predecessor wanted to do. My predecessor wanted to tear down Zucker, Street Community School,
Hmm.
and build a brand new one, and it was going to be like $12 million, and we did it for a third of the cost, and it's beautiful. We've redone parks all around the place. We paved 250 miles of the 300 miles worth of town roads, all since I've been supervisor. That started under me, under my administration. I got the town board to go ahead and put more funding in. The town was on a more than a 30-year paving cycle. I started that under the prior highway superintendent. Then we've only continued it under the current highway superintendent. That was my initiative. It's one of the things I ran on. People
Got
should
it.
look at what we've done, and look at the fact that the town was on the state controller's watch list, and it's solvent. We were insolvent under my predecessor. We had blown through the reserves. He had sold the transfer station, and we literally bled through reserves because we had an unbalanced budget, and we were insolvent, and we were circling the drain, ready to go down, and now we've got money in reserves. Our bond rating was upgraded, has been sustained, and we
Moody's.
came off the state controller's watch list years ago.
Hmm.
And every year we have strong performances, and we get glowing reviews from the ratings agency. And they tell us, because I know we go down and we meet with the ratings agencies, and they tell us, in the past, Clarkstown would come in and they would tell us a story that wasn't true. You come in and you tell us good, bad, and indifferent, and you have a record, and we appreciate what you've done. And it's strong fiscal management, and that's what they say within the ratings agencies. So let anybody who wants to come out and criticize. You want to criticize on, maybe you don't want us to spend on this, we should spend on that, but you can't fault us for our financial management of the town. Just check with what the ratings agencies are talking about.
Hmm.
Just like this whole issue with the engineer, the truth is the truth, and people know what the truth is. And if you want fanciful stories, you want free buses, you can go listen to Mandami in New York City and look at all the garbage that's going on down there. But I don't think the people up here in Clarkstown are going to respond to that.
All right. Well, thank you. It's a very comprehensive explanation, A to Z, on that one, certainly. I have one last question, and this is actually more, it's half joking, but it's half not. I always get a little bit, it grinds my gears when an elected official doesn't get back to Rockland news. And last year, there was a big kerfuffle about the need for safety guardrails on Route 59 during times of protest. Now, for those of you that are listening, Route 59 and Middletown Road is historically a place where people meet and gather and protest about various things that are happening, not just in the county, but in the world. And it's become a place for, if you will, democratic free expression, freedom of speech sort of thing. Now, there was a whole thing that I don't even get into, but the end point of the argument was, it really makes sense to have those safety guardrails on Route 59 when these protests are happening. I know Clarkstown Ward 3 was Donald Franchino. He was advocating for it. It seems that Assemblyman Pat Carroll has been dodging the issue, George. We reached out to him 2 or 3 times. Do you have a better number for him than his office? Because we're just not getting a response from this guy.
I worked with Pat. I worked with Pat on the town board. I know that we had a meeting.
I see his signs everywhere all of a sudden. He's come out of the groundhog hole. I don't know what happened.
So again, when I call Pat, we call his office typically, but it's I'll be talking with Pat within the next week or so.
Yeah, tell him we said hi.
And I'll tell him that this came up during an interview and suggest that he call you.
Yeah.
But what I could tell you is that we did have a meeting with the New York State DOT.
Okay.
And they kind of blew us off. They pretty much, I think everybody agrees that there is some concern, particularly in this climate, that if you put a vast number of people out at an intersection, that if somebody decides, like I want to be clear with the drone show, based upon the national threat profile, the Clarkstown police told me in the op plan, because we went over it with them, these things just don't happen. we brought more trucks in and we blocked every access point with vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we did based on the national threat profile. Now, there hasn't been like a major demonstration over at the Four Corners in a while, since before the summer. You'll get, dozens of people that'll go out on a Saturday.
Right.
It's summertime or
It's
what
not
have
all the
you. But
time. It's like every so often.
right, when they had the No Kings rallies and things of that nature and what have you, and it was ripe for that whole thing to be misinterpreted. We're not calling for any of that stuff to be shut down, but we do think that the state should do something. And it's their road; it's not our road.
Bingo.
I can't put stuff up, but it's like anything else we're dealing with the state. There's a reason why Governor Hochul's polling numbers, by all accounts, are in the toilet. Because look at Route 304 and that bridge. We were told that that was going to be done. The one side of it was going to be done the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're not working on it. And I've had multiple media outlets reaching out to us and then we have residents, they don't know the difference between a state road, a town road, and a county road, and we get blamed for it. And it's very frustrating because it's not being administered appropriately.
Yeah. What about Palisades
We
Parkway
ended
exit?
we ended up under budget
Yeah.
and we had a schedule in West Nyack. None of our projects run over budget or go longer than they're supposed to, save for one since I've been here.
Okay.
And it happened because we had an issue with the bridge on Western Highway a number of years ago, and it was COVID related with supply chain issues.
Right. What about the Palisades Parkway exit 9W onto the thruway? Is that a state? I would imagine that's a state highway, right?
No, Tom, it's the same project.
Same
the reason
project.
it's closed is because they need it closed because they're working on the bridge, but they're never there.
Mm-hmm.
So we made an inquiry and we just got an update today from the engineers from the DOT, and it's revised as of last week, and they're pushing it further out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very frustrating because we have two bridges that are partially closed or fully closed in the town of Clarkstown on state roads we have no control over.
Right.
And it's impacting the residents negatively, and the state's just not doing their job on it. So, we'll talk to Pat about it. We'll talk to Senator Weber about it, and we will reach out to the governor's office, but we're kind of at the mercy of the New York State DOT.
Right.
We can control what we control. On town-run projects, since I've been supervisor, they largely come in under budget and ahead of schedule.
Right.
And that's been the hallmark of my 10 years in office as town supervisor, and we'll continue to do that moving forward.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the state DOT, they go over budget and they take much longer than anticipated.
Yep.
We were told that Route 304 bridge in Bardonia was going to be done by this spring.
Mm.
We were told that the one side that they still have ripped up was going to be finished by the end of last year. I don't know. It's like they just keep on putting out updates that they're not accurate. So
Sounds like the foreman of that entire crew is probably, he was watching the Money Pit, that part where he goes, "Oh yeah, 2 weeks, 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
That's all."
Yeah. I will tell you, Tom. To kind of close the loop on this.
Yeah.
I share this frustration with the other town supervisors. Howie Phillips and I talk about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Havistra, Stony Point, Jim Monahan, former supervisor, and
right.
Amy Conklin. We all talk about it. In Havistra and Stony Point, their downtown area includes 9W. Then they got to deal with the state and the state's lack of follow through on a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, in a lot of our downtown areas, we have it's either us or the county. Middletown Road in Nanuet is a county road. Main Street in New City, half of it's a town road, half of it's a county road. And there's more accountability locally. But, Howie tells me all the time about the absolute frustration he has with the state DOT on just arbitrary things that they do in terms of the traffic lights, the paving, addressing potholes, and how delayed they are. And this is something, Tom, and people need to remember this. This goes all the way back to Governor Cuomo. Cuomo started cutting the DOT budget, and there's no funding.
Mm-hmm.
So, pulled away a lot of their staff, and it takes them a lot longer to get stuff done.
Right.
And now, under Hochul, she's cut back on the capital projects, and the time frame on the capital projects is taking taking a good bit of time. And I'm not looking to bash Governor Hochul or whatever else. I'm frankly, I just think the DOT is overwhelmed, and there's a lot of needs in the state, and we're not getting prioritized. And unfortunately, some of these projects down here are just taking way too long, and it's a very negative impact.
So
Now
as
it
the
sounds like it's going to meet their time frame on 59,
Mhm.
but they blew their time frame on 304 last year.
So as the listeners and those that are especially living in the town of Clarkstown, Haverstraw, Stony Point, what's the best thing that people can take away from this? How can they help to try to get more remediation of our highways locally? Uh, contact, obviously your office, but assembly
Contact
persons. Yeah.
contact Senator Weber, contact Assemblyman Carroll,
Hmm.
contact the governor. You'd be shocked at how quickly the governor's office responds if she got inundated with a bunch of emails from people,
Right.
and not attack, just saying, I'm a resident of Clarkstown. I'm sick and tired of the delays on the state roads. One of these projects going to be done. Every timeline you put out for the state DOT has passed, and it's negatively impacting me. If you want me to vote for you in November, fix the damn road.
Right. And that's part of our mandate here this year at Rockland's News, traffic and traffic safety awareness. Rockland Music Fest 12. We're going to be donating to several families that lost loved ones in traffic accidents. So that's our big topic this year is traffic cars and traffic safety. Town of Clarkstown Supervisor George Holman, thank you as always for joining us on Rockland News.
Thanks, Tom. Everybody be safe in this inclement weather that's coming through.
Yes.
And if you have any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to me. It's supervisor@clarkstown.gov, supervisor@clarkstown.gov. And you can also call us at 845-639-2050, 845-639-2050. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a safe and enjoyable week. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of AM Rockland's News. I'm just going to read off of our sponsors. Thank you, all of you who help to make this every day a better and better organization. And let me just get over to our advertiser role here because we got a lot of them and I just got to keep up. It's a list that I'm appreciating more and more. So we got the New York Boulders baseball team, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, brand new, the Flowery Cannabis Dispensary. It is the only cannabis dispensary that has an entertainment room with a 30-person room and a stage. They're located in Haverstraw, New York. Plus, mention Rockland News and get these free deals. Fiesta Acapulco, if you mention Rockland News, you get one free coquito with your dinner. They're located in Stony Point, New York. Kobe Sushi with their jazz music lounge, music Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights. Mention Rockland's News and get 15% off your entire sushi order. $75 minimum, but that's at least $10.25. What a deal. Breakpoint Bowling with their coupon for the arcade, which is right next to the 20 lanes and the big screen TVs. You get a free $10 arcade card. First timers that mention Rockland's News. Whole Shop Bagels in Haverstraw, New York. Mention Rockland News and get a free bagel for first time customers. And Mad Tea Party Productions, fun, affordable photo booths. Mention Rockland News and get 10% off your booth rental. And finally, special thanks to these final local businesses. We got Stony Point Massage, North Rockland Chiropractic, the UPS store in West Haverstraw, Ivy Rehab Physical Therapy, 99 Signs for all your digital billboard and portable sign needs, FZ Perfection Auto Body Repair in Congers, New York, and our friends over at Clean Space Maintenance Management Company. We'll be back tomorrow morning. As a matter of fact, we're going to have an abbreviated show tomorrow because we have some personal matters that we have to attend to. Mike and Tom will be back next Wednesday. So our next event on Rockland News will be on Thursday. But again, head over to rocklandnews.com and catch all the news that matters to you most at rocklandsnews.com. And just final reminder, Rockland Music Fest 12 will be held on September 12th, 2026 with our headliner, Appetite for Destruction, the Guns N' Roses official tribute band for the entire East Coast. On behalf of Mike and Tom, have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you next time. Take care for now.